What's up, gangsters? How about 10 minutes of random? Okay, so this will be truly random and maybe completely incoherent because it's just that kind of day. So, where to start? Alright, so since I usually start with projects, so here's a little update on my P40 Warhawk project. This cockpit is thankfully all done and ready to go in. You can see all done. I'm super happy. This thing ended up being right at 120 parts, I think, is what the final count came down to. And that includes the decals. I count them as parts because, come on, you got to install them. So anyway, that's the combination of the Yahoo and the Look panel that I showed you, I think, on the last 20 minutes of random that I did a little earlier this year. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with the way this thing turned out. It was a lot of work, but it is for a book project, and hopefully it'll be worthy of that. So that's all good, and as soon as I get some MRP olive drab shades in the mail, I will be able to do a little bit of painting and then actually get the fuselage all closed up because it's ready. I'm doing this is going to be a P40 M-5, which means that because it's an M, it's got the first appearances of the carburetor air vent grate right there in front of the exhaust stack. Being an M model, it still has the scallop behind the cockpit, and that, no matter what anybody says, is supposed to be the same color as the exterior of the aircraft, or at least started out as olive drab. So I'm going to paint those first before I join the fuselage halves together, because then I don't have to do any masking, but I've already got the inside of the fuselage ready for the cockpit. And by the way, that carburetor air vent thing was a little bit of an adventure because the mechanism to it has louvers inside of it that can be controlled from the cockpit or activated from the cockpit, whatever you want to call it. And the kit does not have the parts in the molding. And Edward gives you a photo etch one, but it's pretty lame. So full-on scratch built one. That's that little handle lever thing with the silver curved part right there next to the canopy crank, right there by my fingertip, right there. You can just kind of see it down in there. It's got those two rods that you can't really see from the front right there that connect it to the theoretical carburetor air louvers. Anyhow, so that's P40 update. I have been wanting to get back to my bare metal foil adventure, so I got started up again with some foil experiments, and I've been doing some of that. One really interesting thing is that I had some bare metal foil that I had tested before. This is going back now 3 months since before the workshop renovation got into full swing. I had tested some bare metal foil and it had really bad texture, and that's what I've been fighting with this foil thing. As you can see, just that real small amount of you could call it orange peel. I mean, you can only see it from certain angles, but it's definitely there. And until I can get rid of that, I'm not going to be satisfied with moving forward. And so I had tested with bare metal foil just to make sure, because I've had some success with bare metal foil, but I've also had bad texture. And somebody in SMCG said, well, that stuff has a shelf life. Adhesive is gotten old and it's too sticky, and that's why you're getting the texture. So I bought some brand new bare metal foil, and there you go. Looks like ass. You can see all of that texture. Whatever you want to call that texture, it is horrible, totally unacceptable. So then I thought, well, let's make sure it's not the texture that's molded into the part. I mean, you know, this part is pretty smooth because I've sanded a lot, you know, I've sanded the shit out of it. But, you know, there is still a little bit of molded in texture. You may not be able to see it. But, you know, let's make double certain because that's what I try to do. So here we go. Here is a piece of clear acrylic. Yep, I think we could agree that has no texture on it, right? And yet, here we are, both samples of foil. The lower one is bare metal foil, looks terrible. The upper one is a sample of my kitchen foil with a sprayed layer of glue on the back of it that you see right here. And, yep, texture on both of them. So, I don't know. I don't know what causes that texture, but it is unacceptable. I am going to be doing more experiments, but I want to use this glue that this guy, Osvaldo Vigiani, if you've seen his B24 on the old interwebs, he completely re-riveted and aluminum skinned the Hobby Boss 132nd Liberator. It's amazing. He has a little bit of texture, but not much, and so I'm, you know, trying to learn his method. He does a completely different way of applying foil, and he uses this glue. So I bought some a couple months ago. Yep, already went bad. You can see that's one big chunk of latex or vinyl or whatever. This is a PVA glue, so it's one big chunk of polyvinyl acetate and some water. So yeah, had to order some more. Speaking of new things to try, this stuff has been kind of making the rounds. Matt McDougall tried some of this, said it was like thermonuclear, and so that's what I expected. I expected it to be ridiculously hot, and so I've got this little sample piece here that I tried it on. Of course, looks rough as a cob, which I like because, you know, my belief is that you should be able to get a decal to conform to pretty much any surface with a good setting solution. And is this one? Well, I don't know. My first conclusion, honestly, was that it was garbage because these are two Tamiya decals. This one is off of my Mustang sheet from the 132nd Mustang. It's like 5 years old that I've done so much decal testing with. This is much more recent. It's from the 148 Spitfire Mark I Tamiya. And yeah, when I first put the solution on them, I applied 3 times and it didn't look like it was doing hardly anything. With the third application, this decal finally started to soften up and behave itself, but this one didn't look like it was doing anything. Came back about 4 hours later and they looked like this. Pretty good, not bad. And just so you know, this is MRP all over here. It was brush painted because when I was doing my Stompy Robot thing, I brush painted lacquer, and that's what that is. But this right here is MMP, Invasion Stripes, when I was experimenting with hand painting those on top of MRP. And the concern was that this stuff was so hot that it was going to destroy the paint. It did not, at least, you know, not in this case. It left it kind of weird and shiny looking, but that's something that's going to go away completely when, if I were going to put a flat coat on top of this. There's not any silvering. It looks like it did pretty good in that respect. The one thing I'm not certain of is if it completely settled into these panel lines. So let's poke at that. I mean, these panel lines are not very definitive. I don't know what this little test piece is from. It's like from some ancient Matchbox thing. All right, so you can see right there, okay? If you look right there by my thumb, you can see the decal did not completely settle into that panel line. And I feel like Solvaset would have taken care of that. So yeah, again, even though this seems to have worked, I'm not super impressed. Let's see right here. It looks like there's a panel. Yep, definitely a panel line right under there that it did not shrink into at all. This one over here, honestly, it doesn't look too bad. And I think it's pretty well settled into the panel lines. So, you know, not too bad. But again, I want a product that's going to do the whole job reliably. And I feel like Solvaset would have, because, yep, this one is definitely not all the way into the panel line right there. You know, I've used Solvaset so much, and on these and on decals from these two sheets specifically, and it did exactly what I wanted it to do. So, yeah, again, I don't think I'm gonna be a fan of this. So that was the sound of it going in the trash can. No reason to keep it around if I can't totally count on it. All right, so a couple of fun things that I got in mail call. These are some sanding sticks that John Geigel over at Masterpiece Models is doing. These are pretty cool. They've got the grit numbers on one side, you know, and these are basic, not fancy. You know, these are the basic nail salon type sanding sticks, which, you know, they work fine. And they're inexpensive, and you can get them from John at Masterpiece, along with lots of other cool stuff. So there's those. A couple of things that I've been wanting that I've been wanting to add to my figure painting projects. This and both of these took a long time to get because of Brexit and mail issues with COVID and all that, but super cool. This one is from Mitch's Military Models, which I had not heard of before, like last November, but I am really glad that I followed through on this, because this is phenomenal. Look at this. All right, let me get the camera down here a little bit better, where you can appreciate the glorious levels of detail. Okay, look at this. This is digitally sculpted, 3D printed master. Okay, look at that. Look at how crisp it is. You've got great texture on those belts. You got that fur collar on the jacket. I mean, just so crisp and so nice. And this, you know, as much as I respect the guys who can do the hand sculpting like you get from like Life Miniatures or Young Miniatures, whatever they're called, I mean, that's an amazing talent and skill to be able to hand sculpt something like this. But, you know, at close range, it looks hand sculpted. And part of that is because, you know, you don't have straight lines and really nice uniform gaps and just the little details. You can see there's a remnant of a build support right there. No big deal. I mean, just, you know, like, look at the detail on that zipper. That's just incredible. So cool. And if you're not convinced yet, look at this character's mug. I mean, does he look like the Manly Man Spitfire pilot or what? I mean, that's just awesome. Such great detail. So I'm really, really stoked with this. This is 1/10 scale, and again, it's from Mitch's Military Models, and I'm really looking forward to painting it. I hope I can do it justice. This will be the third fighter pilot bust that I've done. Both of the other two were from Young Miniatures, and you know, they were pretty neat. But again, they were hand sculpted and just honestly just not as good. This one does not have the super nice box and packaging that the other ones do. But yeah, really, I mean, who cares? I don't buy them for the box. I buy them because I want a really nice sculpt that's fun to paint. And I've learned that the more crisp they are, the more fun they are to paint. And they make me look better because my figure painting skills are so terrible. Anyhow, this is the other one that I've got. All right. And this one is, I'm This is from a little outfit called Robot Rocket. You can see the logo right there. Again, also in the UK. I thought I wasn't going to get this thing. It took forever. But this is also a digital sculpt, and it's part of a larger figure. When I posted this in SMCG, some guys posted some shots of the overall figure, and I don't know if you can get the whole thing or not, but this also is super cool. I mean, look, the detail is just really, really good. Super, super crisp. And yep, I'm terrified because female face, even though she's half cyborg, yeah, gonna be, you know, I'm gonna have to raise my game to turn out something that doesn't look terrible. Probably taken me more than a few paint and strip iterations to get it done, but yeah, it's awesome, and I love it because it's the perfect model kit. It's one part. No assembly required, so it's all about the painting. The one thing that was a little disappointing, had to drill a hole in the bottom of it for the so it can attach it to the base, and that was a bit of trial and error. I totally muffed it the first time, had to fill it in with super glue and redo it, but now I can put this 1/8 inch carbon fiber rod into her spinal column, and I think it's gonna work pretty good. So got to get some kind of cool base for that to stick in, but yep. So that's cool. That's gonna be good fun. That's my next thing I'm gonna get into. So there we go. That's 17 minutes of random. Bye.